Flow Pro offers free money management advice to help you take control of your finances. And now here's your host, personal finance enthusiast and licensed insurance broker, James Barber.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Oregon Cash Flow Pro. My name is James Barber. I'm here to help you maximize your cash flow. How's everybody doing? It's been a rough day in the stock market today. A lot of losses. Bloody Wednesday, you might call it. But we're here to talk finances. We're here to talk finances. Anything and everything to do with finances. If you've got questions, I'm going to do my best to answer. Whether it has to do with the stock market, Tesla, dynamic banking, infinite banking, life insurance, cars, real estate. Let me have it. It's been a long day. I've had a lot of meetings. I'm a little bit tired, but I'm here for you every week as usual. Let's see what you guys have to say. Thanks for joining us. Nick, how you doing this evening? BDN, hello. Christopher, how are you doing? Leon, let's get it. Save you, bro. Minus 3,500. Should you sleep well or get your things and leave to Mars? You should sleep well. Things aren't that bad. At the very least, things aren't as bad for you as they are for me. I had a lot of losses today. So let's put this into perspective. Prior to today, so actually this morning, as of the first thing this morning, I was up, I was basically up 5,000 on the day. For about 2 hours. About 2 hours. And then things turned around. The government decided that they weren't going to agree on a stimulus. I think that was probably the number one factor that the whole market just kind of turned against us. And I ended the day, I think I'm down about 30,000. So that was a $35,000 swing. Let's see, 16 and 20. Yeah, about a $36,000 swing from my high of the day. Now, yesterday I was up like 12. So I mean, I was having a really good week. And one of my accounts that I started last week, I had almost doubled it, or I had doubled it as of this morning when it was at its high point. I'm still up, so things aren't horrible. I'm still up on that one by quite a bit, and we still got a chance. It can still come back. It's not all losses until you lock them in and sell them. So we haven't sold. We got a chance for it to come back. Even if even if all my options don't work out this week, I've got options next week that should pull us all back into the positive and bring us back up. So it all helps in the planning. You got to make sure that you always have a strategy, and you're always trying to maximize your cash flow. That's what we're here to do. So, Cat Shepherd, how you doing? Perot, good evening. Did we see the SpaceX launch? Oh my gosh, the future is amazing. I didn't see the launch. I saw the landing, and that was pretty cool. So I don't know if you guys all got to see the landing. It didn't really land. It exploded. It was a great flight. It did everything it should have done, and coming down in for a landing, it came in and it turned in and it started to come down as soon as it looked like it was going to hit. So if you haven't seen it, check it out. It's on YouTube. You can find it out there. I might have to snag it and we'll play it tomorrow's live stream because it was pretty cool. I do need to go and look at it and see the takeoff as well. So, Christopher, no need to be sorry. It happens. There's ups and downs. Nick, do we have an idea of what Airbnb is going to IPO at? It's supposed to IPO between $50 and $60. Christopher says 68. So something might have changed. I've been in meetings all day. That number can go up, but the last I heard, there's no IPO shares out there. Like, we're going to get what comes to the market. And so what comes to the market will probably not be the 50 or 60 because they're only putting out 50 million shares. That comes out tomorrow. They're only putting out 50 million shares. those are going to get eaten up fast, so there's going to be a lot of demand. I'm going to try and get in on that when it comes out. Who knows if it'll work or not? Who knows what the price will be at when I get in? But I imagine it'll do something similar to what DoorDash did today. DoorDash, basically, I think it went up 80% in just a very short amount of time. Then it retraced a bit, came back down. But that's typical. That's typical for IPO with a popular company. I expect Airbnb to be more popular than DoorDash. And DoorDash started out, I think it started out as $100, and it went up to $180. Airbnb is starting out lower than that, so we'll see how it goes. Nick, told you how I'd feel if that happened to me, James. Yes, you did. And with you will follow me to oblivion. Well, hopefully that won't be the case. Kat, doing okay. Any word on the timeline for Tesla's full autonomous driving capability? Last we heard, Elon said he was hoping, or he was expecting, to see full self-driving released to Tesla owners in 2021. Nothing more specific than that, so we got to assume hopefully by the end of 2021. I have some guesses about that. We do expect a full self-driving beta to come out maybe next week. Hopefully next week, be released to a lot more people. I'm hoping it gets released to me so I can test it out, do some videos. But my thinking is a lot of the full self-driving, the learning and stuff happens on a neural net, which I think they call it Dojo, is this computer that they have. And, well, I haven't looked into it much, but my recollection through the grapevine is that Dojo is going to be ready some point next year. So my thinking is, if Elon is pretty sure that we're going to get full self-driving at some point in 2021, probably has to coincide with Dojo being ready to go. So I'd need to do some more research into Dojo, see what that's all about and the progress on it, but my guess is it's tied to that. So good question. Leon, the guy that was flying it got tired and his hands shake on the landing. Are you being serious or are you joking? Is it somebody that was flying it remote control? Is that what it said? His hands got tired? Why would they have somebody flying it and not a computer doing it? Cat, and of course legal regulations. Not too concerned about the legal regulations. The way the United States works, businesses do things first. Okay, he's joking. Gotcha. I was wondering. So anyways, the way business works in the United States, you put out products first, and you only get regulation when you get sued, and it leads to complaints. So I think Elon recognizes that. That's why there's people out doing full self-driving right now. And they just call it a beta. And they'll be driving it around. Everyone will get comfortable with it. And people will complain or they won't, but Congress may take proactive action and make legislation to allow it. But I don't think you have to ask for permission to do it to begin with. So it'll be interesting to see which way that goes. The U.S. is not like the EU. The EU does have regulations against it, or regulations that basically prohibit it by saying you have to have a human with their hand on the wheel or something like that. So we'll see how that ends up. We'll see how this ends up developing. So it can't get released in the EU until whatever their regulations are get fixed. I know that's an issue. Not sure about everywhere else, but I expect here that there's not any regulation that needs to happen prior to it coming out. Maybe something that comes out afterwards. All right, so I gave you guys all my sob story for the market today. How'd everyone else do? And do any of you have some finance questions for me? If not, I got one queued up. We actually got a viewer voicemail question. So that person is going to win a t-shirt. So Key, if you're listening, thanks for sending in the voicemail message. I'm going to play that here in just a minute. And we will do our best to answer it. While I'm playing this and answering the question, you guys think of some other questions burning on your mind. Here we go.
Hello. Thank you for answering my question, hopefully tonight or in the future. My question is, can you walk through an example of where making a policy ladder would make sense, meaning funding an initial policy and then taking a policy loan to fund other policies? I thought you had a video on YouTube, but I can't seem to locate it. So it'd be great to see what that example would look like live during one of your live streams. Thanks.
All right, great question. This is something I addressed. I addressed it in basically two videos, but I could stretch that to 3 videos. So one of them was a Wealthcare Wednesday live stream. I think it was our second one, maybe our first one. And the second video that I put out, I took a clip from that live stream and I made its own video. And I put it in with another one. I think it's called Viewer Questions or something. And the title or the thumbnail might say Waterfall Method ? So look for that one. It talks a little bit about that. I didn't go into much depth because we're just kind of, we're just kind of throwing out the idea. But it's absolutely possible to fund other policies with one policy. I'm not going to be able, I don't know how I would do it live and demonstrate it, but I can paint you the picture. Hopefully you'll be able to visualize this. And if I take this clip out and I put it into a video, it might make more sense. When you have a policy and you have cash value in it, whether it's a policy you just started or one you've had for a number of years, you're going to have some cash value in it. You can borrow that cash value and you can do whatever you want with that. There is no restrictions on how you can use that money. It's a loan. As soon as you get it, it's your money. It's just like any other line of credit that you can get. And once you have the money, you can do whatever you want with it. You can fund another policy with it. You can put that money back into that same policy if you haven't, as new premium, if you haven't already hit your MEC limit. So, yeah, you can absolutely fund other policies with that. In the example that I talked about with the waterfall method, what we discussed was the possibility of doing it all one right after the other. And I believe the numbers we started out with was, let's say you start off with a $20,000 policy and you fund that. You have about 90% cash value that's available right away you can pull out. So you could probably pull out, well, maybe more like 85%. So 2, 3, 45. So you got about 16,000 that you could pull out and put in another policy. Now you've got you've got that policy started, your cash value that's available in that policy. You probably have about 13,000 available in that policy. You could pull that out, start another policy with it, $13,000 policy. And that one's going to have probably about 11,000 in it, 10 or 11,000. So then you can pull that out and start another policy. And you can keep doing that. So that's the waterfall method. Put the cash into one and it flows out, fills up the next one, fills up the next one, fills up the next one. And you can have multiple policies funded that way. It's likely not the best approach to do it that way because you got new fees on each of those policies. You're most likely better off to just, if you can do it, have all of that death benefit in one policy, all of the ability to contribute that same amount into one policy, fund it at this amount, pull the money out, put it back in as new premium. Pull the money out, put it back in as new premium. And fund that one policy all the way up rather than doing 4 separate policies. That's one way that you can approach that. And that brings me to my third video that I made that you can watch that will show you kind of that concept. And that was the one where I talked about dynamic banking plus infinite banking. And in that scenario, I talked about using a line of credit to initially fund the policy, then borrow against it, pay down the line of credit, and then use the line of credit again to put it back in as new premium. So in that scenario, I was just trying to show a way that you could fund a policy with basically almost none of your own cash, max fund it to a point that's higher than what the line of credit's balance is at, and make it work over the course of a number of years. But you don't have to use that line of credit. Taking the money in and out of that policy, you don't have to put it in anything. You can just take the money out, have it in your checking account, and deposit it right back in. So you don't have to have the line of credit to start the policy. You could start it with cash and then borrow from it and then put it back in. So hopefully that answers your question pretty well. And along with those videos, check it out. Now, a reason that you might actually have different policies funded at different times, or you want to waterfall method them, maybe you have one policy on yourself, you got a policy on your spouse, you got policies on your kids, like I do. We do that waterfall method because right now my extra money is in the stock market because I like to do some day trading. I like to do some swing trading. I don't like to have my money just sitting there doing nothing. So when I have to fund a policy, when time to fund my policy comes around, I'm going to take one lump sum of cash. I'm going to fund the policy. And then the next one that comes up, if it's at the same time, I'm going to use that same cash. I'm going to try and fund that one. And then the next one, then the next one. And then I'm going to pull it back out and I'm going to put it back into my play area in the stock market. That's my approach to doing it. So I do that. It's a valid method. It works. You got to make sure that you have a plan, though, to pay those loans back. And I do have a plan to pay those loans back. So when I make my money doing my day trading, when I get some profits, I'm going to take a little bit. And I'm going to at least pay the interest charges each year. And if I cover the interest charges each year, then my policy is going to continue to compound. The growth in the policy will continue to compound, but any loans that I take will not compound because I'm paying that interest each year. So I'm always going to have some separation, and my policies are going to grow. My loans are not going to grow, even though I'm going to keep taking them out as long as I can make more money outside the policy. But every once in a while, I'm going to funnel some money back into my policies because that's where it's safe. That's where you just always want to kind of keep moving some of it out of the market. Part of it so you don't get tempted to just use it all every day. Because there's a strong temptation to do that when you're day trading. And there's a major sale in the market like what happened today. Price went way down. Buy the dip. Buy the dip. It's an opportunity. And it's a good thing to do that. But you don't want to do it with everything because obviously you're still putting it out at risk. You don't know how far down the dip's going to go. We can guess and we can hope, but we don't know. So it's definitely good to keep pulling money out and put it back into the policy and keep your financial base nice and stable. So hopefully that answered your question. Thank you for that question. You win a t-shirt for leaving me a voicemail message that we used on the air. If any of you would like to leave a voicemail message and get a free item from the Teespring store, you can go to my website, OregonCashflowPro.com. Leave me a voicemail message. There's a little button on the side. Real easy to do. You don't need any special software. Just click the button, record your question. If it's good, I'll put it on the air. All right, let's see what kind of questions you guys have. Not much going on in the comment section. Maybe you were all riveted learning about my answer. Perot bought snowflake calls for 4K. They're down 3K. Oh man, snowflake calls, huh? Those are pretty risky. Just because snowflake was up so far already. Good luck with that. Hopefully it'll turn back around. But yeah, snowflake was way up there. I would have been afraid to touch that. Although a lot of people still made money hopping in that, even after it gained a whole lot. It still kept going up. So it probably wasn't too bad of a bet, but it's outside of my comfort zone to try that. Waka, Tesla killed your finances. Hey, me too. But it's only temporary. Remember, we've got the big squeeze happening next week. That has not changed. What may have changed, and you got to remember, I should have pulled out some profits earlier today like I was talking about, because remember what I said at the beginning of the day. I said, I lost my train of thought. What did I say at the beginning of the day? It had to do with taking out money. But there was a warning in there. There was a warning in there that came true. Oh yes. What I said was, what happens? I said, watch out for margin calls. Watch out for margin calls, because that's one of the ways that they free up shares when they're needed. You'll get brokerages that will suddenly decide that they need a higher margin requirement on Tesla. This happened a few months ago. And what happened then? We had a big sell-off because people got margin calls and they couldn't hold on to the Tesla stock that they would otherwise rather hang on to all the way until inclusion. So what ended up happening today was kind of a confluence of events. One, it started to come down, which I think triggered some stop losses. And the stop losses made it fall even more. And when the stop losses came in and knocked it down, now suddenly margin calls happen. And when margin calls happen, people have to sell. It comes down more stop losses get triggered. And we end up with a big dip. We end up with a major dip. We went down, $50 today. And a little bit more in the aftermarket. And I think the aftermarket was because people still had margin calls to deal with. That's just my guess, but I'm pretty sure that's a lot to do with what happened. We have no idea if the $5 billion that Tesla's putting out, we don't know if that's sold. So good question, Daniel. We don't know if that's sold or not. I guess we'll find out later. It's possible that some of that was in there, because if we saw at the beginning of the market, before it went down, it was hovering around 639, 640. And every time it would peak up above 640, it would get knocked back down. That could have been around the price target that they were trying to sell at. Every time it would peak up, Tesla would sell some of their shares. That's a rumor that I'm hearing out there. No idea if there's truth to that or not. So, but something to keep in mind. It was a heavy volume trading day. Easily could have absorbed all of the offering. There's a lot of people though that think that none of it started yet. My original thinking was that it wouldn't start until middle of next week, probably Wednesday. But I have no idea. These are all just guesses. Next week, the big squeeze. Yes, Chewy. Daniel picked up 3 shares today of Tesla. Nice. Let's see. Daniel, can I get your input on your first option call you've made? You have a few contracts of AMD. Strike price 110. January 15th, 2021 expiration at $1.87. It's down right now. Thoughts on AMD? Let me take a look at AMD because I have not been paying attention to it. But let's see if I can do a quick back of the envelope analysis. AMD. It's a good company. They make good product. Popular product. It looks like it's going to be going down in the short term. Stochastic is pointing down. RSI is going down. I'm looking at the daily chart. MACD has almost crossed. On the daily chart, looks like it's going to go down tomorrow. Let me see. Let me check. 4 hour. That one points to everything going down tomorrow. 1 hour chart. Still looks like it's going down tomorrow. We got conflicting between stochastic and RSI on the 2-minute chart as of the end of day. So, I mean, that doesn't tell us much because it's really low volume in after hours. See what happens in the pre-market. It could turn some things around. I'm not sure how it's going to go tomorrow. It does not look good just from looking at the chart. That doesn't mean that it's not going to be okay. It could turn around. It's at the top of the Bollinger Band. It's still coming down on the daily chart. It hit the top of the Bollinger Band, went just above it, came down, and it's almost to the mid Bollinger Band. So it could come down tomorrow, hit that mid Bollinger Band before it starts to go back up. That would probably be my guess as to what might happen. Now, it could go up tomorrow, in which case that Bollinger Band would probably tilt up slightly and maybe maybe it would look like it would hit it. But I would say it's probably going to depend on the overall market, more so than just that stock. Let me take one more look here at some of the hourly charts. Hourly chart, we're at the bottom of the Bollinger Band. It contracted, hit the top, contracted, went down, ran under, went over briefly, came way down. Now it's contracting. I'm looking at the hour chart, but that's in the after hours. Can't put too much stock in the after hours. Yeah, I can't tell anything from the 1 hour chart. Need somebody better at technical analysis. But if it does go up, it may go up a couple of bucks tomorrow before it comes back down, would be my guess. We'll see how that works out. Let me know how that works out. It may go up a couple of bucks, but I think it's going to be a down day tomorrow. Just based on the daily, what the daily shows. Ante, in this scenario, how do you ensure interest charged on loans is lower than your gains? It depends. You can't ensure that it's going to be lower. First of all, you can't ensure that because the guarantees that come with whole life policies are usually at least a wash. If you're using IULs, there's a chance you can make more than what you're paying on just from the insurance company. Okay? There's a chance you can make more. We call that arbitrage. But those are not guaranteed. It's based on the growth in whatever index you're tied to. So there is a possibility for that. The way that I ensure that my gains are going to compound and my interest is not is I just pay that interest each year. Now, I always have the possibility that my policy is going to grow, my interest is going to grow, but I'm also using the money outside the policy and I'm getting interest there. So between the interest there and the interest I'm getting inside my policy, it should surpass what I'm paying on borrowing that money. So I end up in the positive every single year. That's the goal. When we borrow money out of these policies, there's always a cost to using money, and we just want to make sure we're doing it in a smart way. Waka went off for a few hours, came back to a bloodbath as you were going to get out. Oh no. Chewy, wish you knew about GLSI this morning. I bet everybody did. That stock shot up 1,000%. No, it was like 1,800%, 1,600%. That one was a good one. Blah 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 blah. Was today's market sell-off because of the bad Pfizer vaccine news? I wouldn't think so. I think it more had to do with the. We always have a sell-off like this when Congress walks away from the negotiating table on a stimulus bill. Happens all the time. Just so happened to be on a Wednesday this time, and Wednesdays are usually not great days to begin with. So, at least for Tesla. But this time it was the whole market. Nick, trying to digest my answer. Got to watch those videos. Good luck. Good luck. Watch them. If you got questions, come back and ask them. Waka, need Tesla to go up tomorrow to correct your finance. You and me and a million of my best friends. Pro, he's going to stick to Tesla. Gotcha. Next week, big squeeze. Yep. Let me see. Waka, dude, I did tell you it was going down to 580. You said, no way, that can't happen. Well, I didn't listen to myself. Yeah, well, it hasn't hit 180 yet. I hope it doesn't. I hope it does not hit, 580. I hope it doesn't hit 580. Waka, Tesla definitely sold off yesterday and today. Way too much downforce. Yep. And a lot of that downforce, likely due to margin calls and stop losses. But it could have been Tesla selling. We don't know at this point. Daniel, pretty bullish for the next week. Think we end at 690 plus. I hope so. Perot, 72 million shares today. I'll be shocked if they didn't sell any. Nick, ain't that always the truth? We are each other's best advisors, but follow your own advice? Nah, I hate when I do that. For sure. Did I buy DoorDash? No, I did not. Did not buy DoorDash. I was too busy trying to manage what I was doing in Tesla. Plus when I do the live stream, it probably came out sometime while I'm in the live stream. I can't focus on that stuff. Nick, if you snag some at the advertised IPO price, absolutely. Even if I can only snap up a few, a gain is a gain. Oh, Chewy asked who is buying Airbnb tomorrow. May shoot up like DoorDash. I expect it to. I'm planning to buy some. So if I get the opportunity, I will be right there. Yeah, you're welcome, Daniel. Waka says it was partly that to blah, blah, blah. Also lack of support from the U.S. government. Waka would be shocked if no loads of buy orders in place to shoot it back up to 630's region. It's way under. Yep, I hope so. Nick, Airbnb may shoot up even further than DoorDash. It's possible. They're starting out at a different price level. Can you short DoorDash stock options in Robinhood tomorrow? Hey, Top Gun, thanks for the donation, my friend. Can you short DoorDash stock options in Robinhood tomorrow? No, I don't. You can't short options in Robinhood at all. You can buy puts, which are options, but you can't short the stock itself. And DoorDash, I don't know. I don't even know if they have options. Let's take a look. Nope, no options. No options yet for DoorDash. And I expect it'll be the same with Airbnb, unfortunately, because I would love to get some options on that one. Daniel, you can if it goes up. Well, you can't short on Robinhood, and it has to be options, and they don't have options. I mean, it doesn't have to be options. If they don't have the ability to do shorts, which Robinhood doesn't, you would have to be able to buy put, which is an option, and they don't have options on that stock right now. Most do not recommend weekly options. Yeah, weekly options will get you in trouble. They will get you in trouble. You don't give yourself enough time for it to move the direction that you need it to go, usually. What time will Airbnb IPO? I expect it'll IPO about the same time they all do, which is about 11 Eastern time, 11 a.m. Eastern. So that would be about 8 a.m. my time while I'm in the live stream. Give me just a second. Streamlabs won't let you tip with PayPal. Really? That's kind of weird. I signed up and I changed it on Streamlabs to where you can just do a straight credit card, but you should be able to do a credit card or PayPal through Streamlabs. So that's interesting that it wouldn't let you do that. Not sure what the deal is. But I thank you nonetheless. It's hard on a red day like today to get the gumption to tip the dealer, but but it's always nice to see. It's weird. You did see the credit card option. Okay, good. Streamlabs accepted crypto. Oh, really? That's interesting. I bet they wouldn't pay it out as crypto. If you tried to donate in crypto. I don't even know if that's an option on mine. I've not looked into that. I've never traded with crypto, and I haven't used it to buy anything either. So something I'm not familiar with. Blah blah blah. I love that name. Blah blah blah. It's my understanding. Now, is that your real name, or is it because it sounds like blah blah blah? Blah blah blah. It's my understanding index funds will need to sell stock and buy bonds this month due to stock outperforming bonds, and they need a certain ratio to start the year. Should see red. Thoughts? Okay, blah, blah, blah. Good. Okay. Because I didn't want to keep saying that if that was like your actual name. Index funds will need to sell stock and buy bonds Due to stock outperforming bonds. Oh, you're talking about a rebalancing. Sure, I mean there's probably some index funds that will need to rebalance. I imagine that. I mean that happens all the time though. That happens all the time. They need a certain ratio to start the year. They may or may not all have the same year. They may or may not all have the same fiscal year. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that. Thank you. All right, I got my dinner finally. I'm going to have to take some time to eat while I read your comments because I did not get to eat today. And my son made some macaroni. So I asked him to bring me some. That's a way to build a crypto portfolio. Make all tips crypto. I don't even know if they would give me that. I don't know if Streamlabs would actually pay it out in crypto. I would highly doubt it. They probably have some way to convert it. Just being funny. So index funds with stocks and bonds. See, here's the problem. If that happened every year at the same time with all the same firms, it would always be a red December for stocks anytime they were up for the year. So can anybody do the history on that and see if that's legit? Or maybe they do it at different times so that we don't end up with the obvious red time when everybody's going to buy puts because of it. Watch the tips 10x. Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know how many people are using crypto. My guess would probably be not as many as your guess would be. All right, I did not have any other questions in here. We got 19 people watching. You guys got any questions for me? It's been a long day, so I wouldn't mind having a shorter day today. If you guys all already know everything, don't have any questions. But if you do, I'm happy to help. Housing market. Ooh. Housing market. The housing market has been unusually robust this year. I think what we've been seeing is a lot of people finding the ability to work from home. Their businesses are suddenly okay with it because of the pandemic. And so they realize that, one, their current house does not work for that. Or two, if they can work from home, they don't have to live where they currently live. And so we see a lot of people moving outside of cities, going into suburban areas or going into just other totally different housing markets than they otherwise lived. And the housing market has been really, really tight. So housing sales has been up. Average price of houses are up. Low interest. Yep. Chewy. Low interest rates. Record low interest rates, so people are refinancing. That's why Nick, all those nail ETF, that's why that was doing so good, because people are remodeling in order to make it so that their house that they're now stuck in can better meet their needs. So a lot of that was interesting. Very interesting. Not what was expected, I think, at the beginning of the year. Low Roller, heard a crypto index fund is coming next year. I wouldn't doubt it. Nick, don't understand how it moves up and down. No way to really judge which way it's going to go. What's that in reference to? Crypto or the housing market? Or stocks? That could apply to any of them, I think. Top Gun, were you able to do a spreadsheet on premium financing versus purchasing additional insurance with an IUL? Good question. I didn't do a spreadsheet on it, but I have compared them. I'm really hungry, so give me a second. So I have compared them, and premium financing, for those of you that don't know, premium financing is typically something that's reserved for wealthy people who generally make $1 million or more a year. Although it can come down, if you're making over $100,000, you might be able to qualify for a small premium financing for a life insurance policy. And what premium financing is you're basically going to use leverage to buy your premiums. It's often done with IULs. You will put up a quarter of the premium, and a bank will loan you the rest to put up at a pretty decent interest rate, maybe 3 or 4%. Okay? So that's called premium financing, and the appeal to it is you don't put out much of your own money. It gets subsidized by the bank's money. The policy grows at X rate, and eventually you pay back that loan, and you still have this big death benefit along with a much bigger cash value than you might otherwise have, and you're able to take out a nice steady stream of income higher than you had expected to. So that's premium financing. One of the downsides to premium financing is that normally in a high cash value life insurance policy, you have cash value that's growing in there, and you have access to that cash value if you need it in your life. In this case, when you use premium financing, the bank has your cash value all collateralized, so you do not have any access to it. Even as it grows, you don't get access to it until you pay off the full loan from the bank. So I was watching a video that somebody sent me the other day, and it was about premium financing. You put in $54,000, or you put in $50,000 a year for the first 5 years. A bank puts in $54,000 for those first 5 years, and then the next 5 years the bank puts in the whole $104,000. That's $250,000 you put into the policy. You can't touch the cash value until you pay off that loan. That's $500,000, $750,000 plus whatever interest has accrued. Typically, the expectation is within 15 years. There should be enough cash value built up in the policy that you can pay off that loan. In their illustration, the assumption was 15 years you pay off the loan, and then 5 more years later, you can start taking an income stream of $117,000 a year for the rest of your life. I compare that to you starting a policy that's designed how I designed them, which is high cash value, minimize the expenses. You fund it for the first few years, and then you just borrow from the policy to make the premium payments. Rather than borrowing from a bank at a variable interest rate, even though it's low, it's variable. Rather than doing that, you borrow from the policy at a fixed interest rate of 5%, and then pay it back in. Key, I answered your question first thing, so you'll have to start this over and listen to it. So go back to the beginning. It wasn't the very first thing, but it was, probably 10 minutes in. I answered your question already. So thank you for leaving me that question. Okay, so premium financing, and actually this kind of relates to your question as well. But so what I designed was a policy that I do. You put some money in. You can even borrow out the first year if you need to, in order to get to that maximum MEC limit, in order to get to max funded. And you basically do the same thing for 10 years, except you borrow from the policy and put it back in. And what I came up with was, after 20 years, about $170,000 a year that you could pull out. So there's a little bit of variables in there that were a bit different because I couldn't illustrate borrowing. Using the insurance company software, I couldn't illustrate borrowing in the first year. But I think it ends up being kind of a wash, and you don't lose control of that account. So, I mean, it may even be better than a wash. Because you don't ever lose control of the account, and you have that fixed rate. If the insurance environment changes and you start one of those policies and it's a variable rate, might have a hard time gaining in that type of environment. So something to watch out for. Waka lost 10K today. Was sorting out a deer. That was one expensive deer. If you were concentrating on the stocks, you would have short Tesla, made more money. I bet you would have. Some say Tesla could fall to 500 tomorrow. Nah, that ain't gonna happen. Not before the big squeeze next week. Top Gun thinks houses will be on sale in 2021. J.R. Meza, speaking of housing, can you educate on Invesco IBR Mortgage ETF? I don't know that one. I don't pay attention to many of those ETFs. I'll look it up here in a minute, though. I'll try and come back to that. Remind me in the comment section down below. I'm going to keep reading as I eat. And when I can get back to my phone, I'll look up that ETF. Pass. Doubt so, since 550 is a pretty good support. Yeah, it struggled to get. I mean, 600 was decent support when the market was open. It was only after it closed that it was able to go down and stay down below it. Yeah, Chewy. Downtown Loft in Chicago can't sell, but the burb's doing well. That's why. If people don't have to live in the city, a lot of them just won't. It's cheaper out there, too. DFK, what do you think of Airbnb IPO tomorrow? I'm excited for it. I'm planning to buy into it. My plan is buy in as early as I can, ride the wave up, sell, watch it drop, and I'll probably just go be in something else. I'll probably go back to Tesla. But that's just because there's too much going on with Tesla right now. I wouldn't be in anything else long term until after the S&P 500 inclusion. But I expect Airbnb will probably double tomorrow after it IPOs. That's my expectation. Waka Waka. Fed is pumping housing market because they don't want another 2008. I don't see the Fed pumping the housing market. I haven't noticed that. Pumping the housing market. Let me think about that. They're offering low interest rates to banks, the overnight rates to banks. And the overall interest rate environment has caused really low mortgage prices. That has something to do with the Fed. But I don't know, other than that, how they would be pumping the housing market. Like when I hear pumping the housing market, I'm thinking money is going directly into the housing market. I see them pumping money. I mean, I see them loaning out basically free money to the banks. So if that's what you're meaning, yeah, that does make a difference. And I don't know that they're doing it because they want to support the housing market, though. Because the housing market is doing just fine because everybody has to live in their houses right now and they're moving and buying other houses. That housing market is just fine. The problem is in the rental market where folks don't have a job and they're having a hard time. And they, not just the rental there, but there are some folks that are on the verge of foreclosure. The Fed isn't doing anything to help those folks out of foreclosure. The government itself has put a moratorium on foreclosure, but in certain areas, a lot of people are still getting evicted, and that'll probably continue to happen after the end of the year. So I guess I have an issue with the term pumping the housing market. I don't see that happening. I do see some support in other areas. Nick, hoping there's another bump attached to this next wave for Nail. He was referring to crypto, even less for me to go on when making a call to invest. Waka thinks Bitcoin taking a dump. If it goes below 7K, he's getting in. Henry, will there be punch or pie served here? No chance. Waka. Oh. Nick says he got a buddy who's a crypto bull. Gonna start picking his brain. Dude simply bought 2 at like 4K, I believe. Watched them jumped to 20K each. He says it always spikes around elections. Yep. Then slides back down. Yep. You're welcome, Key. Hope it answered your question well. And I appreciate you leaving me that question. Nick, how's the explosion going to affect space? Henry? I don't think the explosion is going to affect space. When I saw that, it kind of reminded me of the Cybertruck unveiling, where the bulletproof, or the, what did they call the windows? Armor glass, where it cracked. And it got a ton of media attention, and it caused massive interest in the Cybertruck. Massive interest in it. I think the same thing will happen. If people go and watch the explosion, they're going to see that the flight actually worked great. And the landing was perfect all the way until the very, very end. So I think there will be more interest in it after that. And maybe they'll hear about Virgin Galactic and their alternative way of taking off and landing. I think it could help. I don't know that it'll be a negative. I hope not. Top Gun thinks the housing bubble is going to pop. Not an '08 bubble, but yes, a correction potentially. Key, benefits of cash out refi versus obtaining a HELOC. Why not both? Can you do both? If I had to choose one or the other, I would rather have a HELOC. A HELOC is more versatile. I wouldn't mind having a cash out refinance. I like cash out refinances, and it would probably be overall at a lower rate. So when I look at the big picture, it would depend on what other tools do I have to use instead of the HELOC. If I have a different tool to use, okay, then I would probably weigh it more towards cash out refi. If I don't have another tool to use, I would probably go with a HELOC. I'm eating macaroni, Leon. Macaroni and cheese. Nick, debating on getting a real estate license. Is it the wrong time? What are you giving up to get a real estate license? Oh yeah, you're in like, you're an artist or something, right? Or an actor? Something along those lines. And so you're looking for something to do during the day instead of just trading, huh? I don't know that it's a wrong time. There's a lot of people buying right now. So that tends to be the time when we see a lot of new agents. It's not a bad time to be a new agent because you could stumble across a deal if you just go out and look for it. So not necessarily a bad time. Top Gun, never wrong to get a real estate license. Yeah. Leon said it was all your fault, Waka. Called it going to 580. Nick, if I'm going to pivot, I'm starting over in the labor industry, and you got some sales background. Gotcha. Why not do life insurance? I can show you how to do life insurance, and you can do what I do, designing awesome policies for people. It's fun, and there is money to be made, even though we minimize our commission for their benefit. You can still make some decent money. I ended up liking it better than being a real estate agent. So I just gave up my real estate license. It expired last month. I was so busy doing life insurance, doing meetings, doing these live streams. But I've been so busy doing life insurance all year. And I was like, I don't have time to do the 30 hours of education they want me to do. So I'm just going to let it go, because I was only helping friends and family with it anyways. So don't have it anymore. Top Gun says, but being a real estate agent isn't for everyone, including him. Low Roller, the government should give us $2,000 a month. That would be nice. Certainly during the pandemic, it would have made it a lot easier for small businesses to survive. It would have made it a lot easier for people to isolate or quarantine themselves when they need to. Really made it hard to not give people the ability to survive without being able to go to their jobs. That hurt a lot of things. Major failing on Congress's part, in my opinion. Waka didn't even listen to himself. Yep. Yeah, tomorrow say it will go up to 700. Are you talking about Starship? It was a huge success. Yes, talking about Starship. Shaky hands landing kind of guy, Leon says. Yeah. Brian, keeping it cheap with the mac and cheese. I know. I like mac and cheese. I always have. Always have. Can you explain how it would work if you can get both a HELOC and a cash out refi? Yes. You just need to find a bank or credit union that will loan you more than 80% of the value of your house. My credit union will loan up to, well, they were loaning up to 100% last year. They're loaning up to 90% this year. So if you do a cash out refi, you can usually only do a cash out refi up to 80%. So if you find somebody that will give you a HELOC up to 90%, now you got both of them. Waka loves mac and cheese. Yeah, nice. Oh, Nick, in live entertainment, you set it all up for the artists and entertainers. Oh, gotcha. Okay, cool. You are going to experience Bitcoin day trading on Robinhood. All right, if you say so. Not saying you haven't considered it, James, even before joining the channel. Not sure which way to go exploring my options. You should sign up for a meeting with me and let's talk about it. Sign up for a meeting with me and let's talk about it. Do you need a college degree to get a real estate license? Nope. Nick, no college degree needed for real estate. Just a real estate license. That's right. Brian says, nice. You don't get rich spending all your money on food. Nope, that's true. That's true. But you definitely need to make sure you're spending enough that you can eat healthy. Alan, his Tesla journey ended today. You just went for it, bought 12 Teslas for $603. Plus 7 you got before, so 19. Where's the rest of the story? That didn't sound like the end of a journey. That sounds like the beginning. That sounds like the beginning of it. Yeah, Waka says, dude, if it's shares don't sell, you won't lose. 2021 going to surpass this level easy. Yeah, 2021 is going to be a big year for Tesla. You got 2 more factories coming online. Full self-driving expected to roll out. Record delivery is going to come up in 4th quarter. Record deliveries for the year as well. A lot of things to look forward to. You can get rich on food by doing food reviews on YouTube. Yeah, that might be true. That might be true. Bitcoin will be a big year in 2021. Maybe. Not really any major elections to roll that around, though. Waka, exactly. CFD and options is where all the issues at, not shares. Yep. You don't have a time issue. There's no time issue with shares. Alan, will the Apple skyrocket to 200? Valuation getting higher and higher. A lot of upside to Apple. You can't say it's impossible. It's definitely possible. I don't know if it'll go to 200. If it goes to 200, that's 100% in a year for the most expensive company in the market. It's already got a $2 trillion. It's already got a $2 trillion valuation, $2 trillion market cap. That would give it almost $4 trillion. 2 to 4 trillion in 1 year. What would they have to do to make that happen? I don't know. I don't know if that can happen in 1 year. I don't know if there's that much upside. It doesn't sound like a lot to go from 100 to 200, but that's a lot. That's a lot. Waka says Apple's too rich for the moment. The higher you are, the harder the climb up. Yeah, I mean, it just takes more to double. It takes more to double. It's not... Apple doubling from 100 to 200 is not the same as Tesla doubling from 100 to 200. Or NIO going from 100 to 200 potentially. Or really anybody else. Apple has a ton of shares out there. And they have a huge market cap. You've got to do a lot to justify doubling. You got to do a lot to justify doubling. Waka, off to bed. It's 3:05. Oh, yeah. Thanks for joining us, man. Get some sleep. Get some sleep. Energy. Tesla was a surprise today, along with everyone else. Yep. Yep. Anti-COVID cure. There you go. Okay, that would probably double it. Blah, blah, blah. Who's getting the boot from S&P to make room for Tesla? We have not heard yet. That's a good question. I expect we'll find out on Monday. I think we find out on the 14th. Yeah, I think it's on the 14th. It might be on the 11th. But I think they said on the 14th. Leon got some calls with Apple. 12.24. Expecting some profits. All right. Good luck. Apple stock will go up 200 next year. Low roller insists. All right. We'll see. We shall see. Like I said, it's not possible, but when you think about it, it doesn't seem like much. But that's really a big feat to go from a $2 trillion to $4 trillion company. Waka has to have his head in the game for Tesla to screw him over tomorrow. That's right. Index funds will need to sell them off. Yeah, the other company. That's it. Yeah, the index funds will need to sell off whatever company they're replacing. Anyone here when the Airbnb IPO is? Time tomorrow. No, they don't announce it ahead of time, but the assumption is 11 a.m., which is when it's typically done. Typically done around 11. I think they just get turned on at some point without much notice. Okay, I said I would look up that. I said I would look up that ETF. Let me look that up. Can't quite finish that bowl. And I'm starting to get tired. I mean, it's been a long day. I've been up since 4 a.m. It's now 7 a.m. here. 13 hours later. I've been going non-stop. Invesco IVR Mortgage ETF. Let me take a look. Invesco Mortgage IVR. There we go. All right, let's see. Looking on the daily. This is a stock, $3.38. Does not move very much. It's been up a little bit for the last week. Had a high of 8 in the summertime. Prior to the big dip in the pandemic, prior to that, it was up at $18. So I would. What I would want to know, and it was a rise. It was a steady climb all the way up until then. We had $14 September of last year. Slow, steady climb up to $18 before the pandemic. $16 prior to that. It came down to 14. And it started out at 16. Started out at 16, down up. Looks like it was a pretty decent performer. Nothing to be too concerned about. Let's see what what kind of dividends this thing pay. Right now, they're paying the equivalent of a 5% dividend, 20 cents annually, which is 5 cents per share. And it's because the stock price is so low. 20 cents out of 338. So the current price it's almost a 6%. Almost a 6% return at the current stock price. Almost a 6% dividend. And it looks like the dividend pays out quarterly. Not a big fan of quarterly dividends. Let's see. RSI and stochastic are pointing down, indicating that it's likely going down tomorrow or in the very near future. 1 hour chart dipped yesterday, kind of came back up a little bit near the end of the day. Let me go 2 minute chart. Okay, so it basically followed everybody else. It took that dip right in the middle of the day, same as everybody else, and then came back up, same as everybody else. Went down to 326, came back up to what it was before that big dip. So it'll probably follow whatever the market does tomorrow. It is on the 2 minute chart, RSI stochastic are turning up. MACD has not crossed over though. It's still in the red a bit. This stock doesn't move a whole lot in general, so yeah, I don't know what to tell you about it. Can't tell a whole lot from looking at that. What was the reasoning for asking? Give me some insight into what your interest is in it, and maybe that'll help. Maybe that'll help flesh it out. C, good evening. Today was brutal. Tomorrow looks like it might be bad too. Hope Friday brings some relief. You and me both. I'm hoping that space can fight whatever the market's doing tomorrow with the excitement of the launch on Friday, potentially. That flight window opens. I expect it'll happen Friday or over the weekend. Nick, do you sign up on Patreon for the meeting or Discord? No, neither one of those. Go to go to calendly.com/cashflowpro. Calendly.com/cashflowpro. Cashflow Pro. And you can sign up there. The link, there should be a link to it in the description, in the show description here. Easiest way to do it. And then you get to see my schedule, and you can just pick a time that works for you. It's the easiest way to make my calendar work. Energy 84. RMG was still up in the day, made a little money to counter all the other stuff. Well, good for you. All right. Wow, we're over an hour now. Thanks for joining me tonight, guys. I'm gonna have to call it a night, get some sleep, so we're nice and refreshed for tomorrow. We're gonna have to have our energy to help lift Tesla back up, and hopefully space as well. So thanks for joining us. I'm gonna play you out with some music. Nighty night. If you can't find that link, Nick, hit me up in Discord and I'll send it to you there. Have a good one, everybody.